Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, February the 22nd, 2022. I am Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Morning Report. More enhancements are on the cards for the Barbados Licensing Authority, which will see Barbadians being able to pay for more of its services online. The assurance from Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport Santia Bradshaw as she led off debate on the Road Traffic Amendment Bill on Monday. She says the authority will be continuing to work with the Ministry of Innovation, and she hopes the rollout will occur next month or in April.
You can look to having persons who are over 70 also being able to use the online platform in order to be able to pay for their licenses, to allow persons to pay for the regulation tests. I think the system now is going to be such where you start to have appointment systems rather than persons constantly being disappointed, when they have to stand up in a line in order to be able to go back in to pay for services, even to allow you to pay for the driving permit, the driving test, and of course the driving license. So we're moving very swiftly to reform the authority and to bring it into the 21st century.
Meanwhile, even though government has been making progress with clearing the backlog of driver's license, it will take additional steps to ensure Barbadians get their cards.
Of about the 15,769 driving licenses sent to the General Post Office, we have to date been able to deliver 9,640, leaving a total of 5,221 still to be delivered. Of that number, we have about 908 that were returned to the Barbados Licensing Authority because those persons could not be found at the address, or in some cases they had given, as I said before, the incorrect address. And so we have a situation where we are working with the General Post Office. We're in the process of trying to find an additional service provider that can basically supplement what is happening within the licensing authority if we are to get these licenses into the hands of the general public.
News about COVID-19 and much more right after this break. Barbados recorded 186 new cases of COVID-19. The best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory conducted 947 tests on February the 20th, including 85 males and 101 females. There are now 96 people in isolation facilities and 3,151 in home isolation. Under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, the total number of people who are fully vaccinated now stands at 148,947. Meanwhile, one more Barbadian has died as a result of COVID-19. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting that an 89-year-old woman passed away on Sunday. She was unvaccinated. Since March 2020, there have been 311 deaths from the viral illness. Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw is concerned about the increasing number of people abandoned by families. While the issue was raised before, she says it has gotten worse within the pandemic.
If you go to the hospital at any point, you will often see, and we used to talk about it before, but I can tell you that during the pandemic, the number of elderly people who are often in A&E or who are going down to the hospital, in many cases abandoned by their relatives, is still on the increase. And it is certainly for me, sir, one who was raised by my grandmother, it pains me.
As Australia reopened to international tourists yesterday, with tourism officials hoping to rebuild their industry. Well, before the pandemic, Australia had welcomed 9.3 million visitors, with tourist spending hitting $32 billion in 2018 to 2019. Between March 2020 and March 2021, international tourists dropped to practically zero, inflicting losses of $29.2 billion on the sector.
Jubilance and excitement as tourists and international passengers touch down in Australia after almost 2 years of border closures.
Picking up my best friend, haven't seen him since 2018, and he made it back just in time for my wedding in 4 days.
I'm really excited actually, yes. I'm going to see my friends for the first time since 5 years that I last was here, yeah.
Surreal, it doesn't feel quite real, like it feels a bit bizarre.
It wasn't just tourists arriving, but families reuniting. Over the last 2 years, Australia has pursued a tough zero COVID-19 strategy. Quarantine restrictions have also been in place, posing a major hurdle for Australian citizens wanting to return.
I didn't know if flights would potentially be delayed because of what's going on overseas, but...
And there were very few repatriation flights, really. Even for Londoners, there was like 55,000 Australians wanting to come home, and there's 3 flights a month, so, you know, it was pretty grim.
but it's just good to see my sister again, and I can't wait to go see Mum and Dad now, because I've been worrying about them for 2 years.
Australia has one of the highest immunisation rates in the world, with more than 90% of people over 16 fully vaccinated. Tourists coming here must be double vaccinated or have a medical exemption. More than 1 million tourist visas have been issued for arrival this month. Tourism was one of the fastest growing sectors in Australia's economy before the pandemic. In 2019, it contributed around $30 billion. But the border closures earned the nation the reputation as Fortress Australia, and tourism groups know they've got a big job on their hands to convince tourists to return.
There's a huge job ahead of us. We have had an incredible disruption to our industry, no international visitors, great disruption to the domestic market as well. For Australia, that meant we lost about $80 billion worth of international revenue alone. And to put it all back together, it's a complex machine, our industry. You have the airlines back in the air, you have the airports ready.
But not every state in Australia is welcoming arrivals. Western Australia has been closed to both international travellers and had quarantine restrictions in place for vaccinated Australian citizens for most of the pandemic. It will eventually open its borders in March.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has lauded the lifting of all remaining COVID-19 restrictions in England as a moment of pride, as he set out the government's long-term plan for living with the virus, prompting concern among public health specialists and opposition lawmakers.
A moment of pride or self-preservation.
So let us learn to live with this virus.
Boris Johnson's roadmap for life alongside COVID-19, brought forward by a month, will see the lifting of all legal rules and restrictions, relying instead on personal responsibility.
We have a population that is protected by the biggest vaccination programme in our history. We have the antivirals, the treatments, and the scientific understanding of this virus. And we have the capabilities to respond rapidly to any resurgence or new variant. And, Mr. Speaker, it is time that we got our confidence back.
It is an extraordinary moment. People in England are being told that from Thursday they won't have to self-isolate even if they're COVID positive. Free testing and contact tracing will be phased out.
To be honest, I would have preferred to have waited another month. So we were in spring when these sorts of viruses spread less readily. But ultimately, yeah, we are pretty close to the point where the value of self-isolation isn't worth the pain.
Earlier in the day, a cabinet meeting to sign off the plan was postponed at the last minute because of a disagreement between the Health and Treasury secretaries. All resolved so the meeting could proceed a few hours later, but not without casting another layer of doubt on Boris Johnson's government and his leadership. And remember that even as ministers argued, the Queen herself, 95 going on 96, is battling the virus, suffering mild cold-like symptoms at the moment, Buckingham Palace says, and continuing to undertake light duties. So England is about to take a big step towards living life as if the pandemic is over. The government portrays it as a great leap to freedom. Critics, though, say it's just another tactic to placate Conservative Party MPs, the hope being to discourage them from throwing Boris Johnson out of office over the Partygate scandal still being investigated by the police. Whatever the case, the benefits, both for public health and for the health of Boris Johnson's government, are yet to be proven.
This is the CBC Morning Report. We'll take a break here and we're back after. It is day 2 of face-to-face classes after yesterday's reopening of schools during this second term. After months of online school as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and much debate about when physical classes would eventually resume, children across this island have started their phased return to face-to-face classes. Minister of Education Kay McConney, Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw and other ministry officials visited several of the reopened schools yesterday. Crystal Hoyt reports.
Have a fantastic day at school. Stay focused. Enjoy yourselves. But stay safe and follow all of the rules and the protocols. We want to keep you in school and make sure you can come out of school tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And the only way we will do that is if we take care of each other.
Minister of Education Kay McConney offering students some words of encouragement on the first day back to school. Ms. McConney, along with other education officials, toured a number of schools across the island. She told the media that the schools, parents, teachers, and most importantly, the students were ready to be back in class.
The ministry, as you know, we have been working tremendously hard to make sure that the part we have to play in getting the schools ready, whether it is the physical part or it is providing the support that we know people will need as they try to make this adjustment and transition. And if you look at the surroundings, you will see the surroundings are clean, the classrooms are properly spaced, and so in readiness, it looks as if the children are ready.
One of the main issues raised was the monitoring of students before and after school. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw says it is an issue principals and parents will have to address.
I know that there are some schools that have the before care and the after care instituted, and I know that the parent teachers associations are very involved with that, so that is an option that can be explored.
The Ministry of Education says they will continue to engage all stakeholders. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Meanwhile, the Barbados Union of Teachers reported only minor issues. In an interview with CBC News, the president, Rudy Lovell, said internet connectivity was among the issues experienced on day one.
The schools are still being cleaned, lack of internet connectivity, non-provision of personal protective equipment, all issues that can be easily rectified. Some schools are doing in person and online. We have a system where the junior schools are not yet back at school. We only have the 5th years. Unfortunately, though, this morning I had to use my phone to deliver instruction because the internet wasn't efficient enough. But that has been rectified.
Barbadians are being told to take planning for retirement seriously. Labour Minister Colin Jordan says more need to support the National Insurance Scheme and should also consider investing in other assets where possible.
Those who can have other investments for retirement, whatever those investments are, retirement plans, investing in real estate, whatever a person is able to afford. I am encouraging Barbadians, even those of us who believe that we are young and never going to get old, to think about that time.
In Jamaica now, a High Court judge has dismissed a case against the Speaker of Parliament, Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, on a charge of illegal dumping in breach of the National Solid Waste Management Act. Justice Larona Montague-Williams, sitting in the St. Anne's Parish Court, also dismissed the charge against the Speaker's son, Giovanni Philibert, and her gardener, Simone Sanchez. The court had heard that the police were patrolling along the Salem Main Road shortly before noon on August 15, 2021, when they observed 3 people exiting a vehicle and starting disposing of garbage, which included cardboard boxes. Vladimir Putin has ordered Russian troops to maintain peace in 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine, hours after the Russian president recognized Donetsk and Luhansk as independent entities. In 2 official decrees yesterday, Putin instructed the country's defense ministry to assume the function of maintaining peace in the eastern regions.
I consider it necessary to recognize the independence of the sovereignty of the Donetsk and Luhansk republics. Russia has taken this decision in the support of friendship and assistance for these republics. Those who are holding back, we are trying to stop military action as soon as possible and stop the bloodshed.
Well, international reaction to this declaration was swift. The NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg condemned the Russian decision. He said Moscow is continuing to fuel the conflict in eastern Ukraine and is trying to stage a pretext to invade. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen described the move as a blatant violation of international law. She said the European Union would react with sanctions. And the White House is saying that US President Joe Biden will soon issue an executive order outlining sanctions on the breakaway regions. They will ban new investment, trade and financing by Americans in the Donbass region. Al Jazeera's Bernard Smith has been reporting to us from the Russian capital, Moscow.
This was an hour-long speech from Vladimir Putin in which he essentially blamed the collapse of the Soviet Union on the creation of this independent state of Ukraine, called into question Ukraine's very right to exist as a country outside of Russia. Vladimir Putin's tone was at times frustrated and at times bleak. And he blamed, after that long historical lesson of why he believed Ukraine was not really a legitimate country, he then went on to blame NATO for its failures to address the situation in the east of Ukraine. He accused NATO, as he's frequently accused NATO in the past, of expanding into all of those Eastern European countries that were released from the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union broke up. He blamed NATO, accused NATO of deliberately expanding into those areas. And he said that in the east of Ukraine, NATO has failed to address the situation in Donbass. This is where there's been a more than 7 year long now conflict with these Russian separatists. And what Vladimir Putin has done is essentially ripped up the Minsk agreement. This is the 7 year long ceasefire between negotiated with Ukraine and Russia and with the French and the Germans that was supposed to find a solution to the situation in eastern Ukraine. Instead, Vladimir Putin has said that it hasn't worked, that isn't working. I'm now going to recognize these two countries as independent states. Straight after he finished his speech, he went on to sign that agreement, which included a friendship and cooperation agreement, which means that if the leaders of Lugansk and Donetsk need help from Russia, they can call on it. It means Russia could send in troops to push back Ukraine from its own sovereign territory.
A U.S. patient believed to be the first woman to be cured of HIV. That patient was being treated for leukemia when she received a stem cell transplant from someone with natural resistance to the AIDS-causing virus. The woman has now been free of the virus for 14 months.
She was treated using a new method that involves umbilical cord blood from a donor with natural resistance to the virus. The stem cell transplant was initially used to treat her cancer, but she's now been free of HIV for 14 months. The woman is the third person to date to be cured of the disease. Well, let's speak to Dennis Nash about this. He's distinguished professor of epidemiology at the City University of New York and is joining us via Zoom from New York. Professor Nash, thank you very much for being with us. This has been described as cutting-edge treatment. Is it treatment that has potential?
I think it's no, not at this time. This is, as you mentioned, we have to remember this is a treatment that took place in someone who had both HIV and leukemia, and it involves some very complex procedures as well as dangerous procedures that someone who didn't need to be treated for a life-threatening condition like leukemia would not want to undergo. The average person living with HIV would not want to take on these risks. And moreover, the procedures are difficult to implement safely in many parts of the world that bear the greatest burden of HIV, specifically in resource-limited settings.
Right. But when they say the woman was cured, what does it mean? Is it the same as being undetectable or HIV being undetectable in your system, or is this something different?
Yeah, this is something different. This means that the virus was basically vanquished from the person, from the person's blood, from the person's cells. Mm-hmm. This happened because the treatment for leukemia first, really destroys all of her blood cells. Mm-hmm. And then she received stem cell transplants on top of that. It's unheard of. It's extremely unheard of for people with HIV, for this to happen for people with HIV. The virus always comes back, even after it is undetectable if you stop treatment. And it did not happen in these 3 cases that we've had to date.
So if I understand you correctly, this can only be applied to people who have leukemia, right? What would attempting a stem cell transplant in anyone who doesn't have a serious condition pose? I mean, what would be the risks involved?
Yeah, it carries with it a high risk of a bad outcome, including death. And so, meanwhile, the average person with HIV can live a healthy life with normal life expectancy on life-saving treatments that we're lucky to have. We've had some major advances in the field of treatment and prevention. So with these same treatments, we can prevent transmission as well as treat it. We can prevent transmission from mother to child, from sex and needle sharing partners to one another. Right. And so this is what we need to be focused on now for the 80% for the 38 million people who are living with HIV around the world.
In sports, the Beijing Gems ended the OECS International Netball Tournament in Dominica recently with a perfect record, with the final result being a nail-biting finish against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Both teams came into the encounter unbeaten, and the Gems had to fight hard as they were down 6-12 in the first quarter, 16-27 in the second, and 31-34 at the end of the third. Here's a look at that match now with Anne-Marie Burke.
It was all to play for both sides, as an unbeaten record was to be upheld, and the St. Vincent ladies wasted no time in letting the Gems know they meant business. Too many errors on the Gems' end of things also gave their opponents the upper hand early. With this ball gifted to them, what else but to capitalize? And once in the hands of shooter Marianne Frederick, guarantee it would be scored. Not to say the Gems didn't have their shining moments, finding all ways to get around a tight defense. Goal attack Brianna Holder resetting into position and then gets the obstruction advantage and scores. But the Vincy girls came out with a vengeance and took the first quarter at 12-6. Second quarter now, when the Gems were looking to get their act together and watch the teamwork in the circle between Latonia Blackman and Holder. Nicely finished. But on the other end of the court, it was working like clockwork. Frederick collects an easy pass, and of course, there's no missing it. Here they go again, and watch this nice lob into Frederick, and she makes it good. Gems with the center pass, and they're passing around to ensure it gets into the circle, and down to the back is goal attack Holder, who looks to get into a more comfortable position, another obstruction advantage, and she nets. But there was no stopping the Vincy girls as they kept the lead into the half at 27-16. Or so they thought, as the third quarter saw the Gems in full fight-back mode. All hands on deck, and with Faye Agard now in the circle, the goal difference was decreasing play by play. The score now 34-29 in favor of the Vincies, but the Bajans were inching closer and closer. Captain Blackman leading the charge in the circle this time around. And how about one more to make it just a 3-point margin? Agard scores, and the third ends at 34-31, the Vincies slightly ahead. Final 15 now, both teams upping their defense as much as their attack. I watch Blackman intercepting, ball heading back down court, and it's a tussle with Blackman and Agard winning out in the end, Gems scoring the first goal of the quarter. Gems sent to pass, and it looks pretty good so far, but oh no, here comes goal defense Josiane Antone reading the play well to steal it. So St. Vincent in possession, and watch the pass into Frederick, up and in. And it's a 1-goal difference now. And this is where things were pulled level. Gems taking the center pass down to their goal circle. And watch the pass between Agard and Blackman, and then the contact call. Agard steps up to take it. Game on, 39-all. Gems then take the lead for the first time all match. Center Shiara Chase just outside the circle finds Blackman, who passes to Agard, who gets the contact advantage, and Gems now with the 40-39 lead. St. Vincent then found themselves crumbling, but not giving up at all. Goal attack Shalisha Davis with a sweet overhead pass to Frederick, nothing but net. But talk about a fight back. The Gems certainly showing not to call a win until the final whistle. St. Vincent defense trying their hardest to block the ball's progress, but with obstruction and contact after contact called, having the final say was Captain Blackman. Gems win 48-42 and leave the OECS International Tournament with an unblemished record, not losing a single game. And
well done to the Gems. Let's take a look at forecast conditions now, recorded earlier at the Met Office of the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. At the moment, under fair conditions, the island, 24.5 degrees Celsius it is. The winds are coming from the east at 28 kilometers an hour. For heading to the beach today, expect a low tide at 11 minutes to 2 this afternoon. We have a high tide at 26 after 7 this morning and another at 11 after 8 tonight. The seas are predicted to be smooth to moderate in open water swells as high as 2 meters and expected to increase. In the forecast, Barbados today, a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. While tonight, expect a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And now some forecast conditions, we thought, for some international cities. Happens from time to time. And that's it for today's edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning to you indeed. Welcome to today, Tuesday, the 22nd of February. The time is swiftly moving by. I'm Pearson Bowen, welcoming all of you everywhere to our sunny island of ours, Barbados. Welcome to our beautiful domicile. And certainly for those of you watching us on our YouTube and our Facebook streams as well, thank you for joining us there too. Now, today being Tuesday, we want to continue celebrating the second day of school, the beauty of our youngsters as they head back to face-to-face classes. Yesterday, many of you responded and we're so thankful. We want more pictures. There's never enough, really. So continue to snap those photographs of your youngsters heading back to school in their uniforms, perhaps for the first time. And you can send them to us by WhatsApp to 228-5562 or email them to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, like this one we got coming in yesterday from Takeri, a student of the Mount Tabor Primary School, smiling. Look at that bag and lunch kit matching. Takeri smartly heading up. Must be related, must be related. Look at the outfit, bag and lunch kit as well. This is Tiara from Mount Tabor Primary School. Tiara, you're so pretty today. Smile on, smile on. Nikaya is going to the Belmont Primary School today. Good morning, Nikaya. Hope you're up. I hope your bags are packed and you're heading out to school today. Nikaya attending the Belmont along with some friends. Look at them, the eager, smiling faces of this island's children. They are so beautiful. I hope that we can continue to support our children as they make their way back into the classroom for face-to-face classes. They will do their absolute best. And certainly as a community, we support them in that. Don't forget, keep taking pictures, keep sending them all week long. We can't wait to see. So if you do take your picture, you can send it by WhatsApp to 228-5562, or you can send them by email as well to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. The information is right there on your screen. The WhatsApp number, 228-5562, or the email address is morninbarbados@cbc.bb. We're doing back to school and we're celebrating the return to school as well. So thank you in anticipation of your submissions. Also yesterday, we had a chance at the, if we can show that now, at the Infinity of the Beach, because remember we did our Just the Two of Us Valentine's competition? We got a chance to make some presentations to our winners. And if our production crew can help me here, we can share with you what we are sharing now. So let's share with you now what it is that we can share with you from the Infinity on the Beach. I'm told we have the first runners up to come up. There they are. George and Catherine Hart as they receive their envelopes inviting them back to Infinity on the Beach for perhaps lunch or dinner. So George and Catherine, congratulations to you. Crystal Griffith, they're the assistant to the general manager making the presentation. And now to that couple that did not turn up, Jamelia and Jeremiah, they're there. They too will get themselves lunch or dinner at the beautiful Infinity on the Beach. A big thank you to Renee Coppin and her team for graciously allowing them to enjoy the property as well, having been so pleased with the competition. But we also had the chance to share and meet the winners of the Just the Two of Us Valentine's competition. Do we have that ready? There they are. Danielle and Adrian. Danielle and Adrian receiving their 2-night, 3-day stay at Infinity on the Beach, receiving their little elbow bumps from Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Infinity, as well. Pleasure working with you, and thanks to all of you who've been a part of it. Now, today on our show, we'll be sharing with you some really good tips for recovery and self-care when Thornwood comes by to share with us in our fitness segment. Also, curb appeal. What does that have to do with real estate? Agent Sharita will share with us some really good tips where that's concerned. Has your child been complaining of headaches? Do you know how to recognize when the child really has a headache and what to do? Our pediatric center will be connecting with our girl, Dr. Gillian Burchell, our pediatrician, to talk more about that headaches in children. Also, cricket is back, and there's now an after-school cricket program, and Jason Paris will talk about that as well when he joins us here on this morning's edition of Morning Barbados. But let's get started by connecting with one of our favorite people ever. Dr. Suzette Husbands. Dr. Suzette Husbands, as you know, we've interacted with her before. She's written about Leading Beside. Now they're having the Leading Beside conference. And so she's joining us to talk more about the book and the conference. Good morning to you, Dr. Sue.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I am doing... Yes, I do. You too. I'm doing well. I love your sunshiny smile. I love your enthusiasm for what you do. And congratulations on the book, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Before we get into the conference, before we get into the conference, I want people to know that the book is available and where the book is available from. Could you share it with them? Where it's
from? The book is available from me, so you can reach me at 233-2193, 233-2193, and you can get a copy of your book. So you want to have the book as you prepare for the conference.
Indeed. Indeed. Yes. So 233-2193, 233-2193. And so you're curious as to what's the book because we're getting ready for the conference. So for those who may not have heard our previous interview about the book, share with them is a synopsis what the book is about when you say Leading Beside.
Right. So fundamentally, what it really looks at is the whole focus of how do we as wives lead beside our husbands, and by extension, husbands get to hear a little bit about that as they review the book. So even though the book is written from a woman's perspective, it's really very useful for marriages as a whole, and certainly for people who are planning to get married. So the book covers areas such as whose idea is it anyway? You know, how God created the whole concept of leading next to, so we're not leading behind, or we're not leading in front, we're not trying to take control, or we're not leading on top of, or, you know, we are leading next to that person. We're going to be looking at the labels that have been assigned to us, and how do we embrace those? Critic, cheerleader, or coach, you know, what sort of role are you playing as you are working alongside your spouse, whether husband or wife. Then we have a chapter called Backseat Driving, which, you know how it is. Sometimes we like to sit in the back seat and just give instructions. How annoying that could be. And what are some of the better ways to be able to support? Then we talk about leading with heart. And we look at the covenant, the importance of that covenant heart, forgiving heart, because in relationships, people do things that are wrong. We hurt each other. So how do we forgive? How do we pray for one another? Those are some of the things. We look at communication, the whole issue of submission and following. Oh my goodness, that's a biggie. And then of course, leading beside in living color, flourishing on purpose. So that's really how do you really then move from where you are and become a better person. And we do have a chapter that speaks to pastors' wives because that's a unique area.
Mm-hmm.
And very often within that context, people are challenged. And so there is a chapter that speaks specifically because I'm a pastor's wife.
Yes.
I was the daughter of a pastor's wife. So, I'm kind of familiar with the landscape. And so it's just some tips there to help us to adjust. So the book is really, somebody said to me, it hasn't so much, how could you have a conference? What more is there to say?
But you'll find it in the conference for sure, and that's coming up on the 26th.
Exactly.
Now, there's a traditionalist, the traditionalist who says a woman's place is just even if it's just a step, but behind the man. And we've had so many examples from the Bible itself where women have been able to lead from the front. And even when our Lord and Savior came to the earth, he never once said you have to get behind. So it is possible for there to be leadership one next to the other, supporting each other. Now the conference is what we are very excited about. It's coming up on the 26th. That's 4 days from now. So what can we expect?
Oh man, the conference is going to be awesome. The conference is really it's a virtual experience. So those who are still concerned about the COVID, that's okay. This is going to be virtual. It's from 9 until 2. You will be able to do it via YouTube. You go to ticketlinks.com. Registration is just $30. And you are going to hear from myself. I'll be sharing, but there is Pastor John Yard, the singer, and his wife, Dr. Roberta Lowe. She's going to be sitting with myself and Bishop, who you all know, who's my husband, and we're going to be sharing in that. We're going to be talking about doing life beside. So that's a powerful interaction right there. Lots of information is going to be shared in that session. And then we're going to be having a session with the ladies, and that's called What Has Become of Me? Very often, women get married and they get all lost and all, you can't find them. Well, we're going to be talking about that. So we have Shanoa Saul from the left coming to the right. We have Denise Seeley. We have Omita Hines. We have Maya Wilcher. These are women who are, one is a housewife, some are into education, one is a principal, one is a consultant. So there's a wide range. And so, nobody has to feel like, oh, they look so high up. No, one is a housewife. And we are sharing together what has become of me in this whole marriage context. Am I still there? Can you find me? Or have I been lost behind my husband? And, we're going to be sharing about that. And then I'll be talking about leading beside the concept and really it takes two. And I noticed that your clip before talked about just the two of us. Well, that session is going to be called It Takes Two. And then, of course, the final session is It's Time to Flourish. So, if you've been hiding and you're just squeezed up in the corner, we really want to see women blossom forth. And not only women, but men. So the conference is open to men and women. We have wonderful sponsors that have come on board. Permit me just to recognize them, Pearson. We have Sakal Event Planning, Ren Walls, Jacobs Graphics, NTAB Builders, Inc., MB Freighting Party Rentals, H&H Management Solutions, MTH Construction, Orizo Consultants, and Sanctuary Empowerment Center, and then to make this happen. Sometimes people feel that a virtual conference, it's only on TV. That's not true. It takes so much planning. It's incredible, Pearson. So much work to make something like this happen.
That is so very true.
Excited. Oh my goodness, I am excited.
I mean, we're just 4 days away, folks, but you've got to get your ticket now by going to ticketlinks, right? Ticketlinks.com.
Yes,
Ticketlinks.com. Correct. And reserve your space. It starts at 9 in the morning, and I mean, it's going to run until Thy Kingdom Come, until we're sure that everybody's satisfied. Everyone gets what they're looking for.
Pearson is going to run until 2. But the trick, the good thing is, Pearson, is that for those who are not available on that day, after the live recording, you will have access to the link for 72 hours after. So you can always come back and watch it and rewatch it. If you miss part because you have to take the children somewhere, that's not a problem. 72 hours afterwards, you have access to the link.
I told you, Thy Kingdom Come. That for sure. From 9 till 2 on the 26th, this coming weekend, Saturday. And of course, get your ticketlinks.com. And when you go to there and you reserve your space for $30, you have access to that for 3 days later. And you can rewatch. You can I don't want to say share it, but certainly you can enjoy the benefits of what's coming up in the conference as well. Number of powerful speakers who are going to share from their experience as well, from here to there, everything they've gone through. Leading Beside is not a women's conference, it's a people's conference. And certainly we want to encourage both men and women to be there as our people learn how to coexist better. But we are empowered one with the other, sharing, learning, leaning on, caring for. All of those things will come out in the conference. It's this Saturday, folks. And Dr. Sue, you see that book I've started to read, and of course we will be calling you because we want to share the gems that we find within that book as well with our audience. So look out for it, folks. But get the book. Get the book ahead of the conference. It's going to help you in the conference. So you can call 233-2193. 233-2193. That's Pastor Sue's number, and Pastor Sue will be happy to autograph it for you, but you have it in your hand and you begin to read and prepare for the conference this coming Saturday. And then, of course, you'll still have the book because our series will soon start on the book. So look out for that opportunity as well. So get the book, 233-2193. Pastor Sue, thank you. All the best for the conference. And thank you for accepting our invitation.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome indeed. Pastor Suzette Husband, she's now Dr. Suzette Husbands, if you please. The conference is called Leading Beside. It's this Saturday from 9 till 2. Go to ticketlinks.com, ticketlinks.com, reserve your $30 space. Then that conference will be available to you for 72 hours thereafter. It is going to be very empowering. You need to get onto ticketlinks.com now and reserve your space. We're taking a break here. We're coming back from our beautiful sunny shores of Barbados in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, there's a lot of cricket being played now, thank Lord, indeed. And so there is now the after school and weekend cricket program hosted by Jason Paris, himself a cricketer. Jason joins us now. He runs the program. Jason, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How do you do?
I'm pretty good, I'm pretty good.
Good.
Thanks.
Congratulations on having this program on, because I'm sure there are many boys who can't wait to lift a bat, take a ball, field, do all sorts of great things in the wonderful sport of cricket. Why the program, and what are you trying to achieve through the program?
Well, basically, Pearson, over the last 3 years, because this year would have been 3 years in March that we didn't have any organized cricket, so to speak. And my son, for sure, he was one that was really hurt by the pandemic.
Yes.
I would say that his last year in class 4, he was unable to participate in the Herman Griffith competition. And I remember he passed the cricket ground, he was crying. And I had plans of opening the cricket school this year. Unfortunately, I was also involved in the kiddie cricket program with the West Indies Board, which was also terminated at the beginning of 2020 as well. So which meant that we had no program really to facilitate little youngsters in primary school, and they believe that the youngsters in primary school are the beginning or the foundation of where we have to go in the direction of West Indies cricket. So not having that program, having my son sad all the time, I told myself it is time to open up a program. Obviously, we could not do team sport, so
Yes.
therefore I decided to open a kind of a one-on-one, what would I say, kind of buddy system as well, where you have two boys from the same household, and then a family package where you had 3 persons or more from the same household to be able to facilitate the training and stuff like that, the basic training of cricket, so that you would have a situation where you could still have the children, basically practicing and so on, because cricket is a very technical sport, and therefore if you don't play it for a very long time, you could easily lose your ability to play, your ability to have the skills. So it meant for me, I said I think we need to have a program where you have a skill set kind of base. And having said that, I would have hooked up with Mr. Patrick Rafe, who's the stepfather of Joe Archer. He opened a facility in St. Philip, Ocean City, St. Philip, which had it had the ability to host one-on-one sessions, two-person sessions, and then 3 persons or more sessions in the net. So I said to him, well, let us get something started. And he too wants to have his Joe Archer Academy up there. The school, however, I want to work mainly with children in primary school and the foundation of the cricket set. And what I want to do is then facilitate academies across Barbados. So I am preparing those young boys where it comes to their skill set, where it comes to preparing them for their fitness, where it prepares them also to be hungry and thirsty for the love of cricket and to play cricket. Obviously not having cricket for 3 years, I also saw that the video games and the computer games and so on became great competition for boys who love to play cricket and who love to play a sport. So therefore we need to make sure that we kind of make the boys thirsty again for cricket. So then I also attached some, I had some mentors with the cricket school as well. We have Mr. Craig Braffett, who's the Barbados and West Indies captain. I also have Joe Archer, who's attached to our program as well. Obviously, we are at the Joe Archer facility, which is found in Ocean City, St. Philip. So we also have Joe Archer as well there. And these mentors are there to, basically kind of like warm the boys up to playing cricket and let them understand that the cricket is very rewarding, Pearson. Is indeed very rewarding. We have many cricketers. I mean, just mentioned Jason Holder, just the other day standing up for the West Indies and so on. He is a Barbadian. And I think that many boys would want to be like these mentors. Cricketers are very well paid, Pearson, and I think that any occupation, any occupation, I think that everyone should be really thirsty. When I say everyone, I mean parents as well, because there's some parents that will say to boys, "Why you don't stand inside and do your homework?" And the boys want to go sit and maybe play cricket. I would say football as well, because all these are sports that build the character of persons and build the character of boys at this early age. So for me, I think that you need to really encourage persons and boys and so on, and girls as well, to want to be cricketers, because cricket is so well paid. Believe you me, Pearson, cricketers are really well paid. Now they go all over the world, and they market Barbados and the Caribbean just like any other person, just like the Rihannas of the world, just like doctors and lawyers and so on. So for me, I think we need to put some investment into our sportsmen, into our cricketers especially. And I'm very concerned at this moment, because this is 3 years and I haven't been hearing anything about any tournaments that are coming. Let me just say, for example, in primary school, this is now the 2nd term. And it means that the boys know that are in class 4 again, if we do not have a tournament, especially in primary school, the boys in class 4 are going to miss yet again another Herman Griffith tournament, which is the tournament played for boys in primary school. So I am really hoping that someone would hear and at least let us get something started. At least I have a tournament next term, in the 3rd term, to facilitate especially those class 4 boys who are going to be going off to secondary school come September.
Yes.
I don't think it would be fair to have another set of class 4 boys not involved in the sport of cricket before they go off to secondary school. And I'm hearing talks about facilitating programs in secondary school for cricket. So for me, I think we need to really get something happening in the 3rd term when it comes to a tournament, because it's all right to practice, but you still need to be able to see the end result of all that practice.
Absolutely.
And therefore, I think that,
Jason, there's a lot to talk about. You've said quite a lot already too. But I want to get back to the program specifically because you're targeting those between 8 and 15 I saw from the flyer. There are some youngsters, whether male or female, who may not have cricketing gear and who may feel, you know, well, this program is not for me. I'll sit back and allow those who can afford. What can you say to that parent or child who today is considering the program but feels disadvantaged because they don't have gear?
Well, I don't think gear is a problem right now because I provide gear as well. When I say provide gear, I provide the normal stuff like your bats and so on. And for me, a guy who's starting or a young lady who's starting cricket, I think it's best for them to start with softball. So it will start with softball. We have bats and so on to facilitate those persons who have no gear. And then as you develop, then you can, there's so many persons who sell gear in Barbados and so on. And I'm also working with the Barbados Cricket Supplies as well. And I know for sure that he's also there, Mr. Leslie's there. He's also working with the cricket school to provide gear, you know, at discounted rates and so on for persons who are interested in starting cricket. I've been getting phone calls even from adults who want to start cricket. So for me, I think that, you know, you just start out, you start with the softball. I provide the basic gear and so on to facilitate that. And then as you get better and you move into a more serious mode, then you can look at, you know, basically you don't have to buy all the gear one time. You take your time and you piece it together until you finally get everything, huh?
Good. So gear is not a concern. Days of the week and times. When is the school open that we can actually come after school and be a part of the program?
Right. Well, basically we would have opened from last year. And we were facilitating, and we were starting at 3 o'clock. However, now since school has started again, I'm going to push that time back to 3:30. So we're going to begin the cricket school at 3:30, and we will end, you know, 6 o'clock, just after 6:30 or so, because outside it's getting brighter now. Obviously, it's that time of the year. So 3:30 to 6:30, Monday to Friday. On Saturday now, we are also open on Saturday from 9 o'clock, and we go right up. I've been going right up to 2 o'clock now because there's so many people who are calling and have that interest of getting their children, you know, so, you know, some fun. Some people come for the activity, just for the exercise. There's some people who want to be, you know, end up as professionals and stuff like that. So we work to suit. Cricket is not only there to facilitate children who may want to go on to be West Indies players, but if you want to just journey, have some exercise, if you want to sharpen up your skills, you know, in terms of your, you know, your motor skills and that kind of thing, cricket also provides that for you. So I just facilitate what persons want. We also have boys who come, you know, and they want that social aspect as well. I also provide that as well. You know, believe it, you know, like we coaching and the conversations that these boys have sometimes with me, you know, it makes me smile.
It's a team
you know,
sport. Yeah, it is indeed a team sport. So we share with teams, share with each other. So for those watching this morning who would want to be a part of this, the after school weekend cricket program with Jason Paris there in Ocean City, then you need to call 237 3251. 237 3251. That's Jason's number, and Jason will be happy to facilitate to as best he can. Now, again, for the uninitiated who doesn't know St. Philip, where exactly is Ocean City?
Oh, Ocean City. I don't know if you guys know St. Martin's Church. You leave the gas station in Curtains, and you come up to the St. Martin's Church, and that's just across the road from the St. Martin's Primary School as well.
Right.
So you can make the left there by the St. Martin's Church, and you drive on that road, and you are going to come to 3rd Avenue, Ocean City. You cannot miss it because the sign is there. You turn into the Ocean City area, a very nice development there as well. And you're turning, and you have the signs there, 3rd Avenue, Ocean City. You can't miss it. You'll make a left turn into the road, and you cannot miss the lovely cricket facility there, the Joffre Archer cricket facility there in 3rd Avenue, Ocean City.
So it's quite easy to find. Ask a question.
Ask a question. If you're lost, give me a call, and I will try to facilitate.
All right, that number to call Jason is 237 3251. Jason, all the best with the after-school weekend cricket program. I'm glad you're able now to be able to provide a space for the boys and the girls to come practice and get their skill sets back up. And as I join with you and hope that the BCA and other teams come up with a tournament to provide a place where they can actually now showcase their skills as well in competitive sport. But I wish you only the very best, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Barbados.
Thank you very much. 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 Thank you very
Indeed. All right, that's Jason Paris. Now, hey, I hope you've sent your photographs. Have you? If you haven't yet, start taking those photographs and send them to us at WhatsApp 228-5562, or you can email them to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Can we show the one? We got one already coming in for the morning. I'd love to see what this little one looks like. This child who's heading to school. Send it by WhatsApp to 228-5562 and 228-5563. There's Kai and his mother. He's going to St. Cyprian's Boys, and Mummy works at Mount Tabor. So there they are, heading out to school. Kai, have a great day at school today, Kai. Be your very best self. Look, Journée, what a beautiful name, Journée. Heading to Lawrence T. Gay Primary School. Look at you, all stylish. Your hands in your Kimbo. Journée, good morning. Have yourself a beautiful today. Ari, stylish too. Ari has her face shield on and it's already decorated. So, and there is her little mask in her hand on her shoulder, giving the peace sign. Ari, at Deacon's Primary, continue being the bright little star you are. Focus, 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 and things great are in the future for you. We'll take a break right here, and when we come back, we'll have the news, but send some more photographs. Can't wait to share them with everyone, everywhere. We're back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
In the news at this hour, more enhancements are on the cards for the Barbados Licensing Authority, which will see Barbadians being able to pay for more of its services online. The assurance from Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport, Santia Bradshaw, as she led off debate on the Road Traffic Amendment Bill on Monday. She said the authority will be continuing to work with the Ministry of Innovation, and she hopes the rollout will occur next month or in April.
You can look to having persons who are over 70 also being able to use the online platform in order to be able to pay for their licenses, to allow persons to pay for the regulation tests. I think the system now is going to be such where you start to have appointment systems rather than persons constantly being disappointed, when they have to stand up in a line in order to be able to go back in to pay for services, even to allow you to pay for the driving permit, the driving test, and of course the driving license. So we're moving very swiftly to reform the authority and to bring it into the 21st century.
Meanwhile, even though the government has been making progress with the clearing of the backlog of driver's license, it will be taking additional steps to ensure Barbadians get their cards.
Of about the 15,769 driving licenses sent to the General Post Office, we have to date been able to deliver 9,640. leaving a total of 5,221 still to be delivered. Of that number, we have about 908 that were returned to the Barbados Licensing Authority because those persons could not be found at the address, or in some cases they had given, as I said before, the incorrect address. And so we have a situation where we are working with the General Post Office. We're in the process of trying to find an additional service provider that can basically supplement what is happening within the licensing authority if we are to get these licenses into the hands of the general public.
Barbados recorded 186 new COVID-19 cases. The Best of Santos Public Health Lab conducted 947 tests on February 20th, including 85 males and 101 females. There are now 96 people in isolation facilities and 3,151 in home isolation. The total number of fully vaccinated people now stands at 148,947. Well, it's day 2 of face-to-face classes after yesterday's reopening of schools during the second term. After months of online school as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and much debate about when physical classes could eventually begin, students across the island have started their phased return to face-to-face classes. Minister of Education Kay McConney, Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw and other ministry officials visited the reopened the schools yesterday. Crystal Hoyt reports.
Have a fantastic day at school. Stay focused. Enjoy yourselves. But stay safe and follow all of the rules and the protocols. We want to keep you in school and make sure you can come back to school tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And the only way we will do that is if we take care of each other.
Minister of Education Kay McConney offering students some words of encouragement on the first day back to school. Ms. McConney, along with other education officials, toured a number of schools across the island. She told the media that the schools, parents, teachers, and most importantly, the students were ready to be back in class.
The ministry, as you know, we have been working tremendously hard to make sure that the part we have to play in getting the schools ready, whether it is the physical part or it is providing the support that we know people will need as they try to make this adjustment and transition. And if you look at the surroundings, you will see the surroundings are clean, the classrooms are properly spaced, and so in readiness, it looks as if the children are ready.
One of the main issues raised was the monitoring of students before and after school. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw says it is an issue principals and parents will have to address.
I know that there are some schools that have the before care and the after care instituted, and I know that the parent teachers associations are very involved with that, so that is an option that can be explored.
The Ministry of Education says they will continue to engage all stakeholders. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Meanwhile, the Barbados Union of Teachers has reported only minor issues. In an interview with CBC News, the President, Rudy Lovell, said internet connectivity was among the issues experienced on day 1.
The schools are still being cleaned, lack of internet connectivity, non-provision of personal protective equipment, all issues that can be easily rectified. Some schools are doing in person and online. We have a system where the junior schools are not yet back at school. We only have the 5th years. Unfortunately, though, this morning I had to use my phone to deliver instruction because the internet wasn't efficient enough. But that has been rectified.
Well, Barbadians are also being told to take planning for retirement seriously. Labour Minister Colin Jordan says more need to support the National Insurance Scheme and should also consider investing in other assets where possible.
Those who can have other investments for retirement, whatever those investments are, retirement plans, investing in real estate, whatever a person is able to afford. I am encouraging Barbadians, even those of us who believe that we are young and never going to get old, to think about that time.
Well, that's our news until now. Remember, more news here on TV8 at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday. On radio, the next newscast is at 8 o'clock this morning and again at 1 this afternoon. That's it for today's news. We'll take a break here and come back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, time to share with you now what we consider to be our good decision of today, sharing still on those daily habits to make motivation flow effortlessly. Today we're talking about reviewing your goals. Another highly effective peak performance habit is to review your goals every single day, preferably as part of your morning and nighttime routine. By reviewing your goals and your reasons why you want to achieve your goals, you put them at the forefront of your mind. This doesn't just spark the motivation to work hard, but it also helps you to stay focused on your goals and spark new ideas on how to achieve them. So keep them always at the forefront of your mind. Review those goals morning and night if it's convenient to you, but most of all, bring them ever so much to the forefront, and you'll see that as you work harder to achieve your goals, the motivation comes and it flows with less effort. So totally effortlessly. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, children and headaches. Dr. Birchwood would share in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Tuesday morning is Dr. Birchwood time. So Dr. Birchwood, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Good morning, all of Barbados.
Good to see you back here with us on a Tuesday morning. Back to school too for a lot of children. And I know that there's a little bit of nugget of truth you want to share with them this morning as it relates to keeping themselves safe. What would you say?
Well, I want to make sure that parents and children remember about going back out to school, that you have to remember to keep your physical distance, make sure that you hand sanitize, make sure that you wear your mask properly over your nose and your mouth so that you can stay safe and keep your loved ones at home safe. But do enjoy being back out at school.
Indeed so. Headaches now. Listen, nobody likes a headache. Absolutely, from child to adult, no one likes a headache. And sometimes they seem to pop up at the most inopportune times. But then, you know, you hear all these old wives' comments like, it's because of the sun, the heat. It's because you're not drinking enough water. It's the dust in the atmosphere. So let's talk about headaches and headaches in children. They have those same issues?
Some of the things, yes,
Yeah.
some of those things definitely can happen in children just as they do in adults. And they're often a nugget of truth in those old wives' tales. So headaches in children can make them feel miserable just as they do in adults. And it's really important to remember that it's a very, very common symptom. And most of the time, it is not going to be anything more than a passing pain. But occasionally, it can be more. And so we need to know what to look out for, know the signs and symptoms, and understand what would be considered fairly normal and when we think we should get, additional help if we are concerned about our child and headaches. But yes, some of those old wives' tales do have a nugget of truth, like the heat, dehydration,
Yes.
and the dust. Yes.
Okay, good. So at least I feel a lot more comfortable. I can diagnose myself, so to speak. But how do we know then to take it beyond the normal pain threshold? How do we know it's now a real cause for concern?
Well, the symptoms and signs that you look out for would be the age of the child. So if you have a very young child, you wouldn't expect to see a 2-year-old holding their head and saying, "Head hurts." That would be very unusual if you have a very young child who can actually express that they have a headache. On the other hand, if you have pain that is severe enough to wake a child up out of sleep, that's also very unusual to expect to have that degree of severe pain. If you have that type of severity, your child needs to see a doctor as soon as possible. The other thing is if the headache has occurred after the child has hit their head. Children are always running around and bumping their heads into things. And so they may have a mild headache after they've slammed their head into a wall. But if it is persistent or the pain is quite intense, then it may be more than just, a bump to my head. The other type of headache that we'd be concerned about, one that happens when we just wake up in the morning, that may be a sign of something more. Also, if it's worse, when a child coughs or sneezes, that might suggest that there's something going on inside the brain. If it's associated with a really high fever, or if there's pain or stiffness in the neck, that can also be a sign that something more perhaps is happening. So these are some of the red flags that would make a parent sit up and take notice and say, hey, I think, that I need to take my child to the doctor rather than just treat at home.
You think stress, children having stress, I see the headache, the pain in the neck and so forth, stress related for me. But the waking up, and soon after waking up and getting up, there's a headache. What would cause that?
Well, in severe cases, if you have something going on in your brain, like, God forbid, a tumor or something going on, which is quite uncommon in children, but it can happen, then you will notice the pain is more significant in the morning. So they'll wake up and they already have a bad headache. So that can be more indicative that something is going on inside the brain. It doesn't always mean that, but it's one of those signs that you wouldn't just dismiss. Early morning headaches are definitely a red flag that a doctor would pay more attention to.
But particularly with teenagers now, because they're different stages of life, and so as a teenager is focused on studying, getting themselves ready for external exams or even internal exams, you focus on studying because that builds up the stress. And I know I'm a candidate for that kind of thing, so I know what I'm talking about here. So when that happens, what should the parent do? Let's look at the teenagers first. What should a parent do when the child presents with the neck pain, the headache that just wouldn't subside?
Yes, so older children and teenagers are more prone to having tension headaches. And so this, as you rightly said, is associated with stress, with pressure. People think of children as never having stress or pressure. Unfortunately, that's just not true. They can also be subject to stress for various reasons. And so that type of headache usually is very characteristic. It's kind of a dull sensation, which the child will report feeling on, both sides of the head. And it will feel like there's a tight band around the head, as if somebody is squeezing their head. And that's because the muscles of the head and neck are tight and they are squeezing the head. So they will have that unpleasant sensation of a tight band around their head. So this is a little different from other types of headaches. So when you ask questions, it's a dull headache. It's usually on both sides of the head. It feels like a tight band, and it isn't associated with other things like nausea or vomiting or dizziness. And typically that type of headache is relieved by the common pain relievers, and it is associated with stress. So it is different in that sense. So when you take a good history, as we say in medicine, then you are able to diagnose, okay, it's likely to be this cause for the headache.
You said pain relievers because that's what we reach for first. Come take this, it should fix that. And sometimes we get it wrong because, one, the child could either be allergic to whatever the this is that we introduce, or it just does not work and we exacerbate the problem. So should my first response be rush to the doctor?
No, not necessarily. So, if it is a fairly mild headache, it is not an intense, severe headache. If it's an intense, severe headache, that's another story. But if it's a fairly mild headache, your child has been studying hard or they've been stressed out about something, the headache is poorly localized. In other words, it's not specific to one particular area. You can try, home remedies. Tell them to go lie down and have a little rest. Make sure that there aren't a lot of loud noises around them to make the headache worse. They need to take a little, break from the studies for an hour or so. And then you can give them your simple pain relievers, things that we commonly use, like Panadol. Give them some fluid to drink and see what happens. So, sometimes putting something cold on the forehead, okay, if there is, stress or tension, can also help. And then you review them and you see what they're like after that period of time. If their symptoms are intensifying or if they're not responding, that may be a sign that you might need more help. But most tension headaches will resolve quite quickly with those common measures that we all do.
What's the worst that this headache could indicate could be happening in my child's head?
Well, the thing that we would fear the most would be if there's actually a tumor. That is quite rare, fortunately. The other thing that it can be, believe it or not, children can have strokes, and they can also have abnormal connections in the blood vessels in their brain, which can sometimes trigger bleeding inside the head. So bleeding in the head, strokes, and tumors are the things that we'd be most worried about. And in addition to that, an infection like meningitis, which fortunately is very uncommon nowadays. So all of those things that I just mentioned are quite rare, but usually the headache is quite different in character, quite intense, often unbearable, and does not respond to the typical things that you would find. And in the case of a tumor, it's often associated with other signs and symptoms. So for example, the child may report disturbances in their ability to see well. They may be wobbly when they're trying to walk, or you might find that they will have weakness perhaps in one part of their body. There may be other signs and symptoms that go along with it. And so the child may report the headache, but it's up to you as the parent initially to see if there's any other sign or symptom going along with it that perhaps they may not have connected to the headache.
Oh, I've done the bleeding in the head thing. I know it's not a beautiful place to be at all.
No,
so not every headache is a headache, folks. When it happens and it doesn't go away in what you know to be normal time, really have medical intervention immediately. Dr. Birchwood, as always, thank you so much for the advice that you're sharing with us every week. And we look forward to even greater advice from you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You do too. Dr. Gillian Birchwood, our pediatrician, encouraging you to don't assume every headache is a headache. There's some headaches that are different, and you must be able to spot the difference and therefore seek medical attention when those differences occur. We have pictures, they tell me. We have pictures. So let's share some pictures. I love it. Look at these children. Look at Makai and DeAndre. They're heading to the All Saints Primary School. Look at you boys. Good morning, boys. Have a great today in their white, lily white shoes. Who is this? Is this Ray? Ray. Good morning, Ray. What class are you in, Ray? At All Saints Primary. Ray. Excited to be heading back to school with his book bag on his back. Ray having a good time. Jelani also goes to the All Saints Primary School. Jelani, you're growing up to be a young man. Jelani, be your best self and enjoy your day today at school. Look at Ronaya's smile. She goes to the Maria Holden Nursery School. Which one do you go to at Maria, Ronaya? So I hope that you go to the one there at Oldbury. That's where the boys went. But Maria Holder Nursery School is a great school. And Ronaya is going there. Ronaya. Look at that smile. Look at her smile. She's too sweet, too precious. Listen, send some more. Send some more. Send some more. When you're sending, you can send them via WhatsApp to 228-5562. Or you can send them by email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Can't wait to see some more beautiful children. Beautiful, beautiful children. We want to share them with the rest of the world as well. WhatsApp 228-5562 or by email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Thank you in advance. No, by the way, Movell Jordan, she wants you to know that she's all sold out of the Queen of Culpeper book. She's having a reprint, so she's hoping very soon to have those of you who've been calling, coming to her for your own copy as well. And we thank you for supporting our local authors. She's out at the moment, but she's getting a new stock very soon, so keep checking in with Movell Jordan. Movell, good morning. All the best always. A break, and when we come back, we're coming into a moment of time with Agent Sharita.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Checking in with Agent Sharita this morning. Good morning to Agent Sharita.
Good morning, Pearson.
You know, I have to apologize for the bad behavior of my producer and technical director who give you trouble every Tuesday morning. But you're a good girl. Right. You're a good girl. You could take it and you could give it too. Yes. So she says that they're saying to me that you need to put me as one of the villains in your continuing sagas online. So
yeah, we can consider you as part of our cast, Pearson.
I hear you. I hear you. So this morning we want to look at some of the best curb appeals for every budget. What are we talking about here?
All right. So whenever anyone is going out on a date, they try to look their best so they can capture the attention of the person sitting across from them. The same thing applies with property. If you are looking to sell your property or even rent your property, it must look sexy. It must look gorgeous. So yes. Sometimes you have to put some little, like painting the lips of a pig. Sometimes you might have to do some little fixings that make that property pop. And not all the time do you have to incur a big budget. So it's just about finding what works for you.
You know, there's some people who will say, you know, we want to see the beauty of a woman, put her in sunlight. If you see her in unnatural lights, they might not necessarily be all that you get. So, but at the same time, the appeal is what we're talking. It opens the door for what comes next. And that's what we're talking about. How do we attract, you know, the focus, how do we attract the attention in a positive way?
Correct. So in this time, you know, sometimes people don't have the major budgets to renovate and refresh a house, right? But they know that there's potential there. But how do you excite me from the time I get on that sidewalk and see the house to say, I want to know more? So let's look at some more inexpensive ways of judging that curb appeal. And curb appeal is essentially how it looks on the exterior.
Yes.
You know, that makes it worthwhile. So I would say under $500, we can look at things, simple things. If you know that there has been no grass in what was supposed to be a lawn for a very long time, can we please just buy some sheets of grass, please? And thank you. It doesn't take much effort. Huh?
Yes,
it doesn't take much effort.
Cover the
and
dirt.
Nowadays they have them laid out in tiles for you.
Yes.
You know.
So correct. Cover the dirt. Put some grass. In other words.
Yes. So that is one. That is one method of, you know, sassing up the exterior.
Yes.
Another method, very simple, just trim and cut and pull down the bush around the property. Even if it's a derelict property, you can still at least make it look like a diamond in the rough by letting it be seen. A lot of people assume that because I'm selling it as is, I am doing nothing.
Yes.
At least pull down the bush. Simple, cost-effective thing. Another thing you can do is the patio. At least just paint the patio. If you can't do anything else with that house, paint. It's like lipstick, cute little lipstick, you know, to dress up the exterior. Buy some paint. So those are the more inexpensive ones. And another one, I would say,
you say patio, but
numbers or house names.
House numbers or house names?
Yes. Okay. So let's look at Becky Sue's property. She has that wrought iron name from the 1960s.
Oh.
Okay?
Yes.
St. Susie's Place or whatever. As simple as that is, you can get those numbers, whether it's done in on a designer tile or just numbers, new numbers that you buy from the hardware store, or new name, new letters. Simple things like that will elevate the facade.
Okay. I get you now. Jazz it up somewhat. Bring it into a more current time in its presentation and look. So if it's wrought iron done in a diagonal, change the material with which you're working. Don't make it back in wrought iron, but find other fantastic ways of displaying what you want to display. I like it. But I was going back to the patio. You said paint the patio. And I know you meant to not just the patio alone, but the exterior of the house. Because the patio is at the front for me. When I go to the back, and I see something else, you know, it's going to be a different story.
Well, remember, we're working with a little handful of a budget there. However, if you have deeper pockets like Pearson obviously does, we can now head to the entire house. Paint, paint, paint lifts a space immediately. It makes it look fresh, modern, and ready to go. So the exterior painting, if you do have more than $500 in your budget and can go higher, and you're just about making it look the part, yes, definitely an exterior refresh can work, for sure.
There's some people who like to put sandwich boards on pavements, and they just have it there. It's untidy, one, first of all, because they haven't kept it up well. But sometimes the wording is so basic. I'd love to see a sandwich board at the front of my property that says, home inside, warm inside, that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Come inside, in other words. Let's go inside. What do you think?
That is nice. Even things like welcome mat. Wait, don't be putting down a welcome mat if the place doesn't look welcoming.
Yes.
So you still have to create some sort of positive energy out there before you put those types of decor refreshers. Another thing you can think of, even the walk up to the property, if it was just plain concrete and you had, money to play with, you can consider putting decorative pavers down. That adds a touch of class and elevates the space. And remember, it's the walk to the property. So it lifts a person's expectations on their way there.
That's right. And it enhances the possibility of there being a closure on the sale, because now people see the possibilities. They see something that excites their attention enough to want to discuss further with you how they can actually own and purchase that property. This is some almost no-brainers for a lot of people, but certainly some things we need to consider. One would think, indeed, one would think. But sometimes we get so lost in our own space, we never stop for a second to think, what does it look like from the other side? What do people see that I don't see? And that's where perhaps a discussion with you could come into play as well, because that's what you do.
I will guide you in a very stern yet loving way.
At least you're honest, in a very stern but loving way. So the stern comes with a lot of love. That's the whole point. The point is that we want to make a difference. We want to have an impact. We want to be able to move the property off the market. So there's some wonderful little low budget things that you can actually do to make your curb appeal pop. And that someone who drives by stops for a second, takes a look, and considers taking the walk up for that discussion. That's what we're talking about today. And if you want to start that discussion, Agent Sharita is the girl to get on the case for you. Remember to call her on 233-8888, 233-8888. If you're looking for her on social media and online, Barbados Real Estate 246. That's who she is. Right there you see the information on your screen. So Agent Sharita on IG, you're looking for 233-8888 as well, and get all of this going. So we've got all of this done, but we want to be able to not sell, we don't want to have buyer's remorse. And that's the whole point we want to avoid as well, don't we? Where we've done this beautiful image, and then when you really get to it, is just paint on the pig.
But at the end of the day, once you put your listing description out there that speaks the truth of the property and its needs, if it needs to be refurbished, renovated or not, people are fine with that, once you are honest up front. But you don't want to have them come into a dump, even if the property does need work. You want to still allow them to envision the potential.
Look, every time you come on the social media, can you see it yourself? Yes. A very good morning to our smiling Agent Sharita. Love your beautiful smile. It brightens the day. Thanks for all of your advice and information. Patricia Ben, who loves to watch us as she's constantly commenting, indeed. And that's what it's about, that relationship with your agent, and your agent having that kind of warmth that we're talking about, who makes the process of releasing one's life via property to someone else, or to purchasing one's life via property for yourself and your family. And that relationship really starts with feeling your agent. And that's where, you do so well, so very well, Agent Sharita. You're welcome, you're welcome. So here it is now. We've got the sale, we've got our description all together. Location is also important, and making sure that the property grabs the attention of the person who is going by, not just the person who is watching the listing, because sometimes listing is one thing and it works, but sometimes I physically want to go see. And that's where the go-see is also going to be important, that what we listed is exactly or better, or what we've seen now is better than what we listed. So the curb appeal is important.
Yes, definitely. People often ask, Sharita, how are you successful in selling properties when some others aren't? I just tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Judge Judy would love you, girl. Judge Judy would love you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's so true. Because that's people buy into truth. And the last thing anyone wants, particularly when it comes to an investment, is to feel as though they've been defrauded, that they've been sold a lemon when you're just looking for some lemonade. And that's so critical. I'm so appreciative of that statement of fact, that that's what you do, and that's what you represent as well. There are times when there are properties that are being sold, and while you may have, this person is selling, would listing of the actual figure or a range of figures be attractive to someone who is in the market looking for property? So it ranges up from 425 to 625, for instance.
Okay, so when you list a property and a price is designated and you put that on websites or whatever, you put the actual price out there. And that helps people kind of know which level of property it is. So even if it's in a fancy neighborhood, but you're seeing a lowish price, that alone is an indicator that, okay, what's going on here? It needs work. So then you make sure your description kind of lets them know why it is so low price.
Yes.
And I believe in spelling out everything that's wrong. I don't want to say this property is gorgeous, it's lovely, the best thing you'll ever find, and you get there and you're wondering, what's going on here, and why you didn't tell me this? So you put those things out there first, but you still want to put in the effort as a seller to make sure that when people get to the property, as rundown as it might be, they're still excited to see. And remember, not everyone can imagine what they can transform something into. So just by making the outside look cute, it gives people ideas.
So true. Yeah, you're right. There are times too you would see it being shown where the actual price and then a red slash goes through that says reduced. This is the new figure. And I'm being me. I would wonder, wait, is the slashed price the real figure, or was it the higher figure? What do you say?
So it's just like when we go to the shop, ladies, you know what I mean? When you see $49.99 and a big flash, and you see 20, which price are you leaning towards?
Yes.
The lower price is going to pull you in, Pearson.
Yes.
And that's what makes it enticing. It's a nice strategy, too, to let people know, wow, it's higher, but you've come in at the right time, and you can snatch it up at a deal of an opportunity. So that little red line tells so much.
Indeed it does. And these are little, again, more tricks. Tricks sound so negative, but you know what I mean. Different things that one could use really to get it all done, to get the techniques. That's the T word. To get the product sold, to get people paying attention to what you're doing as well. So freshen it up, freshen the front, whether it's to lay the grass so that your lawn now looks absolutely lush. Adorn the walkway if it has to be adorned. Change the tiles that you would have used on the walkway. Don't keep it so basic. And freshen up with some paint. Make it really look really, really fantastic. That is so appealing that I have to go to know more. And then, of course, you connect with Agent Sharita. So, Agent Sharita, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. 233-8888 on social media and online. Barbados Real Estate 246 on IG, Agent Sharita. And let her make the business move for you. She does only the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If she tells you the truth, it gets turned with a lot of love. I see I'm remembering all your catchphrases. Agent Sharita, thank you so much. All the best. See you next week. God's life.
You're welcome.
Indeed. Agent Sharita, of course, remember the numbers to call her are 233-8888 and go online to Barbados Real Estate 246. We'll take a break right here and we're coming right back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're just about 14 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. Don't forget to send us those photographs as well. We can't wait to see them by WhatsApp of the children in their school uniform. 228-5562 is the WhatsApp number to which you can send them, or you can send them by email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Get them in soon. I want to share some more with you in just a moment. But let's remind you this morning, we told you about Dr. Sue's book. We also told you about Dr. Sue's upcoming conference, Leading Beside. The same title. The book is called Leading Beside, and the book is available now. You need to call her on 233-2193. 233-2193. The doctors are right there, husbands both. Dr. Sue's husband's book is called Leading Beside. She and her husband leading through life and leading organization, leading their family as well. The book is available by calling 233-2198. You should get the book ahead, is advised, ahead of the conference, which happens this coming Saturday. Leading Beside Conference 2022, February the 26th, from 9 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. It's online. You need to go to ticketlinks.com and reserve your space. It's only $30. And once you get your entry in, that link becomes yours for the next 72 hours after conclusion on Saturday. So you have a chance to go back over and over and gain from the wide range of knowledge and information shared therein. So call, get the book, 233-2198. 233-2198. Call, get the book. Pastor Sue will be happy to autograph it for you, and if need be, she'll bring it to you too. I know how they work. And you'll get your copy, but most of all, read, and get yourself ready for Saturday's Leading Beside Conference. It's an online conference, so you can join from anywhere in the world. But to join, you need to go to ticketlinks.com. Some of those panelists who will be coming together as wives and women, Shania Saul, Denise Seeley, Omita Hines, and Maya Wiltshire, they'll be joining Pastor Sue, and together they're the panelists when women sit together and talk a little bit about that relationship and how they can lend to the relationship. There's not a challenge. You'll also get to hear the couples. Pastor John Yard and his wife, Dr. Viberta Lowe, and Doctors Marlon and Suzette husbands. They'll be sharing from a couple's perspective as well. Many sessions throughout the day. You get to meet them, interact with them from 9 a.m. until 2 in the afternoon this coming Saturday in the Leading Beside Conference. Go to ticketlinks.com and reserve your space. It's going to be super duper, if I say so myself. But the book, call Pastor Sue, 233-2193. There's so many nuggets in there that you can learn from, and we will be sharing more with you here on Morning Barbados as well. So that's that. Now the pictures are flowing, and we love the flow that you're sharing with us. So look at this. Give me the pronunciation again. Kauai. Kauai is in Canada. This is one from one of our viewers in Canada. Kauai is preparing to head back to school, and look at that. Kauai is all excited and cute, like a button indeed. So Kauai, good morning to you and your folks there in Canada. Thank you so much for watching us online on Morning Barbados. And of course, Kauai, as you head out to school today, remember always to be safe and to be your very best self. Be obedient and become a very upstanding citizen of the world. So Kauai, congratulations to you as you head back to school. Look, Alina. This is Alina. Alina, good morning to you too. You're heading to Wesley Hall Infant School. Look at you, Alina. What's in your lunch kit, Alina? Would you share it with me? I hope so. But Alina, they tell me no in my ear. But Alina, have a beautiful today. As you head back to school, you look absolutely gorgeous in your uniform. I love this name. Look at the name, Naomi. That's my grandmother's name. Naomi, a very strong, powerful, biblical name. So look at little Naomi. She's heading to St. Lucy's Primary School indeed. So Naomi, good morning. Smile, Naomi. It's all right. You're going to see all your friends today, and you'll have a great time interacting with your teacher at school. My primary school, look at this. Sela Primary School, Shazaria. Shazaria. Good morning, Shazaria. How are you doing today? I hope you know you're going to my primary school, Sela Primary, Shazaria. So I hope you continue to represent me and all of us from St. Lucie so well. Shazaria, well done. Have a beautiful today. And then there's Azari and Ariel. Azari and Ariel, they look like brother and sister. Look at you heading off to Holy Innocents Primary School. So sweet. Look at that big brother holding his little sister under his arm. He's going to lead her beautifully. I think the parents have nothing to fear when Azari and Ariel head out to school today at Holy Innocents, because big brother is going to be looking out for his little sister. And there she is with her ribbon. When was the last time you saw ribbons in the hair? Isn't it beautiful? Look at her smile. They are both excited to head back to school, as we are here. Excited to welcome them back to school as well. Their teacher, no doubt, is excited to see them too. Heading to St. Patrick's Roman Catholic School in the city is Anita. Love these old names. Anita. We haven't had that in a child in so long. Anita, how are you today? Anita, have a good day today at school. Anita, you're doing the right thing, wearing your mask, and you're wearing it correctly. Remember, Anita, when you head to school and you see your colleagues as well, remind them to also wear their mask. Remind them to keep some distance and to constantly sanitize. Wash, 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 wash. Don't put your hands in your face, don't put your hands in your mouth as well, but enjoy your time at school, enjoy your studies at school, enjoy your teacher at school. It must be so good to see all of your friends and your teachers yet again. And for those of you who are heading into your new school plant for the first time, yeah, you imagine, 2 years ago you would have sat the 11 plus, pass for school and never stepped foot on. But you're stepping feet on to your school plant today. So welcome to your glorious new world. Enjoy it immensely. Send us some more photographs. As you can tell, I'll be happy to share them. So send us to WhatsApp 228-5562 or email morninbarbados@cbc.be. A break, and we're back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
He's going to tell me I cheated him of his time, but that's not true. Thorn Wood is here with us now. Thorn, good morning to you.
Pearson, it has been quite an interesting morning.
Yes.
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Next time, jog.
I think I should have actually got out the car and run.
Yeah.
The traffic is on a completely different level.
Yeah, school has restarted.
It has restarted. And speaking of school, I just want to remind, we're going to talk about that this morning. I just want to remind the parents, yes, you're getting back into your hustle and bustle. Yes, you're getting back into your lifestyle of how things were pre-COVID. We're returning to some sense of normalcy. However, your self-care is just as important. So I remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about, trying to plan how you're going to work, do your workouts and stuff like that, and just adding that stuff to your schedule.
Yes.
Now, so I know sometimes right now people are going to get caught up with the kids, and that's going to go out the window. So that's why I am here to remind you.
So remind us, Thorne. Remind us, Thorne.
Remind you guys. Yes, we're going back into school, but do not lose sight of your self-care. Grandmother to say, or I know what your experience has been, but you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes, so true.
Right?
So true.
You cannot. Therefore, if you know that you've been starting your gym journey and stuff like that, then maybe you need to reevaluate the times, because now you have this big chunk of time that you have to allot to the commute of taking the kids to school and picking them up.
Mm-hmm.
Some parents are fortunate enough to have maybe like the carpool service. Maybe that's something that you can now consider. Maybe you look around for friends in your community with parents, and maybe one parent does the run and you take turns, anything like that. But there are options. Along with that, I want to remind you parents to wake up in the morning as part of your self-care process to do your stretches.
Yeah.
All right? Start the day with your stretches, get your body flowing, get your body ready for the day that's to come. So, we did our roll down. So you do your breathing exercises up and down in the morning. This stuff is super simple. So you inhale for 8 counts up, exhale for 8 counts down. I always talk about my hangs, releasing the head down to the floor, just hanging.
Mm-hmm.
You can rotate your hips from side to side. Just release your back. When you're finished with that one, then you can go down to the floor. This is more of a thoracic stretch. Hand down on the floor. First thing you go get down to the floor.
I'm watching it.
You watch it. I reach up to the sky. So the idea for this exercise, what I usually tell people is that try to think about matching your finger, your index finger, with your thumb.
Okay.
In terms of a straight line.
Right.
So you're reaching down, then down, peel down, next arm. Reach
Look at the same way.
The same way.
And these are critical. I mean, you want to wake up the mind, you want to wake up the body. And don't just rush into the day ill-prepared.
Correct.
And that's what we're talking about.
So
as you get off the bed, do some stretching.
Correct. So if that requires you to get up maybe like 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early before you get your day started, trust me guys, it will be beneficial to you in the long run.
Yeah, when you see your child moving a little bit sluggishly, exercise, come, get up, let's do some stretching. And that's what it's about.
Exactly. So speaking of which, in the name of this and everybody, I know everybody's going to get back in this, I call it Lady Metropolis mindset.
Yeah.
We're just like, go, 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 go. We are about to do a 10-week workout challenge.
Okay.
10 weeks, 30-day. We call it the mindful movement, the 30-day mindful movement. So in these 30 days, you get training for 3 times a week. On the 3rd day, you have a question and answer. So any questions you may have about fitness and that kind of stuff. We have trainers on board from Australia, from England, some from the States, because we're all just coming together and just making this project dedicated to those who may not be able to figure out what their fitness journey needs to be.
And that's online?
That is online, on Instagram. It is absolutely free.
Free, best word in the world.
Free
So
99.
Where do we
Right, so
meet up with
you
this?
connect with me on Instagram at Clay.Woods. We will be on the live. It starts in the 2nd week of March.
Okay.
Right? I will be filling you guys in with a play-by-play as to how things go with the exact date and time. But 3 times a week, you're looking at a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday time slot. 3 days of training, and on the Saturday, you can have your question and answer, and we can just help you guys get your stuff started.
Sounds good. IG, CLE.WOODS. And that's where you'll find him. I get involved in that fitness 10-week challenge with him and all of them. We got to go, Thor. It's out of time.
Thank you so much,
always,
guys.
Thank you. Remember today, get up and stretch, get up and stretch, get up and stretch. I'm going to have to get up and stretch. So we're hoping that stretching for all of us starts again really, really soon. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. If it be God's will, take care then. Until then, bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.